All right, a live picture for you tonight as we come to you on 5 Plus with an updated forecast for the overnight hours into early tomorrow. There have been some changes to the forecast. They're not bad changes. They're actually good changes. Lower chances for rain or snow. Obviously, it was warmer on Saturday than what we anticipated. Our high in some spots topped 50 degrees. That's pretty dramatic, especially considering wind chills early this week. We're down around zero for a lot of us, certainly in the single digits. It's actually a pretty decent evening for December to be over at the Missouri Botanical Garden for the Garden Glow tonight, or Wild Lights at the zoo, or anywhere else. So what's new and what's next? What's changed? The rain snow chances are now lower for the remainder of tonight into Sunday. Not that we won't see some patches of drizzle or some sprinkles or a few snowflakes. The chances are much lower. The odds of seeing anything measurable, very low. The odds of seeing any kind of impact, very low. Okay? We do have some pretty wild temperature swings, though, coming up over the next few days. We're up and down. These fast-moving clipper systems, they're just kind of parading across our region. But one comes through on Thursday that will lead to a big chill for next weekend. We're seeing that trend right now. Probably as cold or colder than what we just dealt with. All right, so our clipper system's on schedule, on time here to the north of St. Louis. We're still about 40 degrees along and south of Interstate 70 here. To our north, you run into some travel problems as you get up into parts of Iowa. That's headed, that's snow, towards the Quad Cities and into central portions of Illinois. It is staying to our north, so it's not going to have an impact on us as we go through tonight. We're mainly just cloudy overnight tonight. Those temperatures drop back into the 30s. Southeast breeze very light at about 5 miles per hour. We made a big dent today across the southern fringes of the snowpack, which was generally, through the northern part of the metro area, kind of eating that away. Very little snow left farther south of St. Louis, if any. Your hour-by-hour forecast for Sunday, we don't expect to see much in the way of any sun tomorrow. Not that there won't be a peak or two, but those sun breaks will be far and few between there. We are looking at very low chances for a little patchy drizzle here or there, and that should be about it. Maybe a couple of snow flurries. We were at 47 for the high today, and you know how warm it felt this afternoon, relatively speaking to the way it felt earlier this week. 47 is actually the average high over the last 30 years for this day. So it just felt so much warmer because it's been so cold. 29 was our low temperature this morning. That's pretty close to average, too. So, again, this fast-moving clipper system, you notice there's no moisture really pulled in from the Gulf here with this. So we're just squeezing out the moisture that's available. And really, the focus is up here into Iowa. You see there are some darker blue bands in there. That's all staying north of the Missouri-Iowa border. A little bit of rain kind of crossing the border into northern Missouri, but that's pretty much going to stay to our north. Outside of a couple of sprinkles north of St. Louis tonight, odds don't favor much getting going with this system for us. As it passes east of us tomorrow, our temperatures will be a bit cooler. We're around 40 for the high tomorrow. Temperatures may drop some in the afternoon, and that's when we may see a little patch or two of drizzle, maybe a couple of snowflakes in there, especially after sunset tomorrow for a couple of hours. Not really looking at a big deal there. And then it's colder on Monday before we warm up again on Tuesday. We should crack 50 degrees on Tuesday. Some of us did on Saturday, especially south of St. Louis. But Monday, it definitely looks like it's going to be cold before that. So we're just kind of up and down here as these clippers, each one of these clipper systems kind of swing through. So we're thinking 33 for the high on Monday. A mix of sun and clouds. At times, those clouds a little thicker, but still on the dry side here on Monday. The afternoon highs, this is one of the stories we're really following. Up, down, up, down. Cold and flu season is definitely here, right? 52 on Tuesday. We drop it back to 45 on Wednesday. One clipper coming through early on Wednesday. Another one comes through on Thursday. And then look, Friday and Saturday. Going into next weekend, it will be much colder than what we've seen this weekend for sure. So Wednesday morning, our first clipper is sliding through the Great Lakes. We're warm enough here that if we saw any precip, it would be rain, right? This is the European version of what we're looking at here. Another clipper coming at us for Wednesday night and Thursday. That's going to try to squeeze out whatever moisture is available. Not thinking there's a whole lot available for this, but maybe enough north of St. Louis for a little bit of a dusting. We're having a hard time seeing much more than that. We're having a hard time seeing any kind of big impact at this point. Now, that is subject to change depending on the exact track of this system and if it's able to tap into some moisture and maybe squeeze out a little more moisture. Then we might have an issue. But we think temperatures aren't cold enough for it to be a big problem. Unlike what we had this past Monday, where it was cold and then we had some snow, and fast and furious snow at that. All right, by Friday morning, that system's out and the cold air is spilling in. So Wednesday and Thursday, with those clipper systems passing through, low chances we'll see any rain or snow there. Low chances we'd see anything on Sunday, so we don't see big impacts here. As we head towards Friday and Saturday, there's your cold air. And many of us, I think, are going to be down. This will probably be the coldest air we've seen so far this season. Of course, we just said that. But yeah, it's loading up again up here in Canada, and it's ready to surge to the south over us as we head into this weekend, and perhaps even into early next week. Now, the brunt of it is likely to be around the Great Lakes into the northeast. But again, we're on the fringes of this. So we could easily be over forecasting our temperatures here at the end of this period going into next weekend. We could be a little warm on this forecast for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You're saying, Scott, you got a high of 24 on Saturday. You're saying that could be too warm? Yeah, it's possible. There's a big spread right now on what that Arctic air is going to do and how much of it really comes our way. So not all the models are in agreement, and we've tended at this point to go a little bit above some of the guidance that we're seeing, but it's certainly not out of the question that we could all be in the teens on Saturday and be in the single digits for Sunday morning. That's in the realm of possibility. One thing we don't see, though, and it seems to be a fairly good signal for this, is that we just have these clipper systems. We don't have major storm systems, at least through next weekend into the beginning of the following week. Now, after that, there's still more cold Arctic air that continues to build. I don't think all of it gets dumped on us this next weekend. It's still up there in Alaska, Northwest Territories, and the Yukon. So we'll see how much of that is left as we get closer to Christmas, and if we can develop an active storm track, because then things might change. But right now, very little impact from any snow or rain over the next several days, but that cold, and the fact that temperatures are going up and down here for the next few days, and then that cold next weekend, that's definitely something to be concerned with.